Thank you, Madam Zoom-Master. The amended agenda shows an item amended at item 15, which states announcements. Are there any objections to the adoption of the amended agenda? Not seeing any, I declare the adoption of the amended agenda as agreed by the Council by unanimous consent. We will now move on to the Credentials Committee report, and I would like to welcome our Credentials Chair, Pauline McCabe, to deliver the Credentials Committee report. Please welcome Pauline.
Madam District Director, members of District 71, good morning. I have to say everybody online is looking very well. Everybody in the room is here. The District Council is formed from club presidents and vice presidents, education, area directors, division directors, and member of the district leadership team. Each club officer may carry the club's 2 votes or may carry 1 vote as determined by the club membership. A representative, either club president or VPE, from any member club in good standing is entitled to a maximum of 2 votes. District Executive Committee members are entitled to 1 vote and may cast up to 2 additional votes as a representative of a member club if they are in the role of club president or VPE. Second slide, please. District 71 has 186 clubs in good standing and 54 District Executive Committee members. On the basis of 2 votes per club, 1/3 of the member clubs in good standing shall constitute a quorum, that being 122 votes. 162 votes from registered presidents and VP education. The meeting is quorate. We also have 42 votes from registered DEC members. The total votes that may be cast is 204. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. Thank you very much, Madam Credentials Chair. We'll now proceed to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 25th of September 2022. Are there any objections to the acceptance of the minutes of our previous council meeting? Not seeing any, I declare the acceptance of the minutes of the previous council meeting held on the 25th of September. I would also like to seek approval of the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 21st of May 2022. Are there any objections to the acceptance of the minutes of these meetings, of this meeting? 22. Not seeing any, I declare the acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of the 21st of May 2022. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is vacancies filled. Thank you, Madam Zoom-Master. And the vacancy that was filled was Jane Cragg's DTM Realignment Chair. Our next item on the agenda is the Alignment Committee's report, assignment of clubs to areas and divisions for the 23-24 Toastmasters year. Every year we must review the alignment of our clubs to areas and divisions. This work is essential to ensure that our clubs are adequately supported by the district and their area and division directors. The Alignment Committee was headed by Jane Craggs, and Jane and the committee looked at various variables and put together a report to align our clubs at the beginning of the next Toastmasters year. This report was previously approved by the District Executive Committee, and we now bring it to the District Council. I would like to thank Jane and her team for their commitment and hard work. Please welcome Jane Craggs to present her Alignment Committee report.
Many thanks, Madam District Director. Madam District Director, members of the DLT, members of the DEC and fellow Toastmasters. As the District Director has already stated, realignment undertaken in any Toastmasters year is for the benefit of members, clubs, areas and divisions. That's to say D71 as a whole. Not only to make it as manageable as possible in the spirit of the district mission, but while complying with TI and D71's rules and regulations. Many thanks indeed to everyone who helped out, forming part of the committee, who has helped in the preparation of this report by replying to requests for updates, making suggestions, and moving the clubs forward in a proactive way. There are certain official guidelines that have to be taken into account. Due to the fragile nature of some clubs and the difficulty in finding ADs, it might have seemed advisable to consolidate rather than leave or expand the number of areas. However, division and area directors are rightly proud and conscious of all the hard work they've done and are anxious to try and see their efforts come to fruition. In summary, in the best interests of the clubs and the districts taken into consideration when assigning clubs to areas. Firstly, areas consist of 4 to 6 clubs. However, an area may consist of 3 clubs on July the 1st, but only when an effort to charter a 4th club or reinstate a failing club is in progress. Under no circumstances may an area have more than 6 clubs on the 1st of July. Advanced clubs may not be segregated into areas. Areas may be segregated by language. This doesn't really apply to us, subject to the approval of the District Council. Districts assign clubs to areas based upon the geographic proximity to other clubs, the ability of an area to provide service effectively, club size and strength, whether they're paid, active, or disbanding, prospective clubs, unexpected growth, and the likelihood of eligibility for distinguished programmes. Initially, looking at the cold figures, it seemed that more realignment would be needed within D71 this year. But having taken advice from TI and seen the proactive reaction from the areas and divisions, there is actually, in the end, very little change to be made. But the situation does change from day to day, and we have to envisage today what it will look like on the 30th of June. Also, because we are relying on some pre-charter clubs, it will be an important part of the brief of incoming divisions and area directors to support the pre-charter clubs to full charter status and help them become sustainable. It's hard to gauge when some of these pre-charter clubs will be in a position to charter, as well as how long it takes for the paperwork to go through once submitted to TI. However, we cross our fingers. Hopes and wishes are not numbers on the dashboard. And we're looking forward to seeing some work to get all this going properly. As far as the geographical question is concerned, if area and division events remain online or hybrid, it can help with the travel aspects and enable clubs that do work online to participate and make club visits more flexible. So the situation at present is that everything's looking pretty good. Congratulations to all the division and area directors and the brave individuals who've applied to start new clubs. I'll run down each division very briefly. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, well, this map, which I'd hope to do in more detail, shows some of the difficulties that there are at present because of these large swathes of the country. On the UK part, you can see Division N, which is quite an enormous area. But luckily, we've solved that problem with an online club. And then in Ireland, even though it doesn't look as big, that area is 120 kilometres from north to south and east to west. So the idea of putting some clubs together there became very difficult. But luckily, as I say, hard work has solved the problem. Next slide, please. Right, Division A. Cork East and Carlisle were lost, but there is a pre-charter club code which will charter later this year. There is a club which is down as ineligible, a corporate club, but they are reported to be solving the situation, so this is taken as acceptable. Because there are plenty of clubs in Division A, but Division 23 was looking a bit thin, the Blarney Club has very kindly accepted to move to Area 23. So that will manage the numbers and even out the areas. Brenda, do we need to have an agreement on that? Madam
Realignment Chair, if you continue with your report, we'll approve the whole report at the end of your report.
Okay. Division B, next slide, please. Area 36 was down to 3 as West Limerick and Listowel closed, but the planned reinstatement of a Fexco club will bring Area 36 back to 4. So all areas have 4 clubs. That's fine. Division C, next slide, please. Division C lost the Office of Government Procurement from Area 22. Area 10 has 6 clubs because of the new club that chartered, Molly Malone. And areas 16, 19 and 22, despite losing one, have 4 clubs. Division D, which originally looked as though it would be problematic, is now acceptable because of the efforts to reinstate a club. We took advice from TI on this, and the clubs in question are okay as long as the renewal they are reinstated by the next renewal period. So in Area 28, Atty and Newbridge were lost, but that left 4. Area 40 lost Kilkenny, it still has 4. And Area 50 retains 4 clubs. Sorry, is that a question? I can't hear.
This, Madam Realignment Chair, the slides hadn't moved on to Division D. So it's showing Division D now.
Oh. Okay. Any further questions? Okay.
No, you can proceed now, Jane, please.
All right. So there's no realignment needed there now. Can we have the next slide, please? Division E. Okay, there is a prospective club for Area 6, Online Pros Club. But in any case, all the areas have enough clubs. Area 6 has 4, Area 39 has 5, Area 42 has 5. Next slide, please, Division F. Here we have 2 prospective clubs. Teachers Talk Toastmasters. The application was submitted last week, and Emerald Isle, which will be submitted soon. So this gives us Area 4 has 6 clubs. Area 9 has 3, but it does have 1 club that will be reinstated, Longford. Area 12 has 3 plus the pre-charter club, which has just been submitted as above, and Area 27 has 4. So there again, Division F is okay. Division G, thank you. Area 1 has 4, even though it's lost Chelmsford City Communicators. Area 25 has 3, but it does have a prospective club, the pre-charter club at Mildenhall. Area 41 has 3, plus Cambridge University Press, which is due to renew its status. So there again, Division G is okay. Next slide, please, Division H. No problems here. Area 14 has 5, Area 20 has 5, Area 32 has 4, Area 44 has 6. Next slide, please. Division J. Area 2 lost 1 club, Eulana, but they still have 4. Area 7 has 4. Area 57 still has 4, even though they lost PwC Toastmasters. Division M. Area 5 has 4 clubs. Area 18 looked as though it was going to go down to 3, but the right Toastmasters, which are down there as ineligible from the TI dashboard last night, is to revive. And in the initial realignment report, there were 23 active members, so it shouldn't be too difficult for them to do that. Area 26 has 4, Area 54 has 5, so Division M is all good. Now, Division N is the only area where a club really has to be moved. There are several pre-charter clubs in this area, but they don't have a specific date for starting. But the real problem was that Area 15 had 7 clubs because a newly chartered club, Tyne Toastmasters, was allocated to Area 15, which was the logical place for it. However, this is a new club. It's an online club, and it can easily be moved. And the people responsible for the club are happy for it to go to Area 31. Now, normally we wouldn't particularly like to move a club from the east of the Pennines to the other side, but as it is online, and that helps the numbers in Area 31, everyone is happy there. And it still leaves place for the pre-chartered clubs, should they go ahead. Division S, even though it's lost a club, lost off Gem Glasgow in Area 60, that still has 4. Area 43 has 5, Area 33 has 4, Area 30 has 5, and we have a prospective club, West Hill UK, for Area 43. So in summary, in this challenging post-pandemic year, the district's done really well to retain so much stability. The coming year will be challenging, and there is work to be done to make all this sustainable. And I wish you all the best of luck in making that happen, Madam District Director.
Thank you very much, Madam Realignment Chair Jane Craggs, and thank you for all the work that you've done in relation to realignment. I'll now open the floor for any discussion or questions or comments on the proposed realignment report. Are there any objections to the acceptance of the Alignment Committee report? Hearing none, I declare the district alignment for the 23-24 Toastmasters year to be approved by the District Council by unanimous consent. Thank you all. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the 22-23 mid-year audit report and update on the district budget. It is our responsibility as a DLT to use our members' money wisely to support our clubs and members, and we'll now provide you with an opportunity to see how the district has been doing with its finances so far this year. I'd like to acknowledge the work done by our audit committee and our finance manager, Anthony Phelan. Please welcome Anthony Phelan, District Finance Manager, to present the report.
Thank you, Madam District Director. So this is the financial report for the first half of the current Toastmasters year. And the figures presented, they cover the period from the 1st of July 2022 until the 31st of December 2022. So we might move on to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So what we're looking at there is just the profit and loss statement for the first half of the current Toastmasters year. And that's basically a snapshot in time from the 31st of December 2022. And that's provided to us by Toastmasters International. So before we go into the figures on it, it's just important to understand that the system of accountancy that Toastmasters International use allows for what's called accruals to be carried forward from a previous year into the current year's accounts. And basically what accruals are, they're expenses that were budgeted for a previous year, but didn't actually happen. And the benefit of that to us is that it gives us a financial credit for the current Toastmasters year. So the accruals that were carried forward from last year's accounts amounted to about €12,500. So where that's showing now on the profit and loss statement there, if you look down the very bottom left, just the second line up, you'll see the total district expenses for the first half of the year was 5,000. And that financial credit has been applied to that. So the real figure to run the district for the first half of the year is 17,500. So that, just to bear that in mind there. Now that 17,500 expenses, that's against the backdrop of an income of 46,000, which you'll see in the top left on the fourth row down. So that's total district revenue, 46,000. So that puts us in a very strong and positive financial position. Our income is 46,000 for the first half of the year. The expenses is 17,500. So that's a good place to be. But we need to put that in context as well. So remember, this is just a snapshot in time of the expenses on the 31st of December. And, you know, it represents just the expenses at that point in time that were drawn down by the district and its members. There are other expenses that were incurred up to that point in time, but not yet drawn down. Those would be, say, for example, the clubs might have earned incentives, but may not have claimed those yet. That would be one example. Another example would be, for example, area directors on their club visits, you know, would be due mileage for that, and they may not have claimed the mileage at that point in time. So, you know, it would really be Q3, Q4 figures before we see those expenses kind of fully fill out, and we would see then the entire cost of what it costs to run the district for the year. But overall, we expect to be in a positive financial position at the end of Q4 on the 30th of June as well. So we might move on to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So our audit committee for this year is Ivika Suker, Phil Cooper, and Martin O'Sullivan. And I just want to thank Ivika, Phil, and Martin for their time and efforts on behalf of the members of District 71 for the current year. The audit committee, they're currently almost finished the Q2, the mid-year audit, and in probably around August, they'll start the Q4, the end-of-year audit. So everything is on track for that. And we might move on to the next and last slide. So just for anybody, area directors, division directors, anybody who requires to claim expenditure, many of people kind of attending this conference today, the end of our Toastmasters year is the 30th of June. So we've only a very small window left for any expenses that need to be claimed. So, you know, what I would say to people is try and get those in the next week or two, because sometimes what happens is there's a problem with it and it needs to be sent back to get clarification. So it will just give us time to sort that out if it needs be. Whereas if you leave it till the very end, the last week, you know, we lose access then after the 30th of June, and then it just becomes a bigger problem to solve. So anybody, you know, any expenditures to be reimbursed, just get in contact with me on that email address if you're having trouble the next week or two, and I'll do my best to get it solved. That's the end of the financial report. I'll take any questions now if there are any. No. Okay, I'll pass you over to Madam District Director. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Finance Manager. We will now proceed to the District Leadership Committee report on elections of district officers. I will call upon our District Leadership Committee Chair, Daniel Sanders, to present the Leadership Committee report. Please welcome Daniel.
Thank you, Brenda. And welcome to my fellow Toastmasters, the District Leadership Team, District Council, and the DEC. Next slide, please. It gives me tremendous pleasure to thank fellow colleagues on this year's District Leadership Committee. Murray Manning, Tom O'Keefe, Seamus Hines, Olivia Copeland, John Cox, Rob Partridge, Anne Nunn, John Alsop, Barry Lane, Gillian Garrity, Fiona Cairns, Phil Cooper, one each per division. Next slide, please. The application process that we asked candidates, nominees to go through was to fill out the district leader nomination form, an officer agreement and release statement, candidate application form, candidate biography, candidate photograph. After this report was presented to the DEC, we opened a call for floor candidates that ran through to the 20th of May. We did have two that successfully passed through that process. Next slide, please. A rough description of what happened as the paperwork came in. I screened the candidates' paperwork and determined their qualifications. I assigned 2 assessors. I passed on the district leadership and candidate showcase questions, and these were reviewed by the assessors. The assessors interviewed candidates for 30 to 60 minutes. The assessors completed an evaluation form. The assessors presented their evaluation to the District Leadership Committee. We voted, and candidates must receive a majority of the district leadership votes to be nominated. Thank you. Next slide. I now present to you the nominated candidates for 2023 to 2024 year. Thank you. Next slide. Standing for District Director, Elizabeth Jordan. Programme Quality Director, Danny Banks. Club Growth Director, Mary Dillon. Somesh Kumar, Paula Marnie. Next slide, please. For Public Relations Manager standing are Sue Burnett and Paula Marnie. Next slide, please. When this report was presented to the DEC in April, there was no candidate for Division A, but that has changed. Brenda will inform you. Division B Director, James Finnegan. Division C Director, no candidate. Next slide, please. Division D Director, no candidate. Division E Director, no candidate. Division F Director, Charles Malone. Next slide, please. Division G Director, Julie Kenny. Division H Director, originally no candidate, but that has changed. Division D Director, no candidate. Division M Director, no candidate. Division N Director, Howard Balkind. Division S Director, no candidate. Next slide, please. So this report status can be classified as complete, incomplete, or invalid. It wasn't complete because there remain vacancies. So it was incomplete or invalid. If it was invalid, if at least one deadline or one requirement was not adhered to by the District Leadership Committee. Invalid reports may be presented to the District Council as advisory reports at the direction of the District Executive Committee. All candidates run from the floor. Next slide, please.
I won't disturb you.
This DLC report is advisory. Each division in the district must be equally represented on the committee. However, one DLC member did not take part in the candidate assessment process due to technical and personal circumstances. This was communicated to myself, the DLC chair, on the 13th of April, allowing no time for the appointment of a replacement. Next slide, please. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. I'd like to hand the floor back to Madam District Director.
Thank you very much, Mr. District Leadership Committee Chair, and thank you and your committee for all your work. Before we proceed with the elections, we will conduct 2 test votes in order to familiarise everybody with the voting system. Mr. Election Runner Manager Nick, would you launch the first poll or the first vote, please?
Yes, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Nick.
Should take about 90 seconds to receive it into your inboxes on the emails that you registered for this meeting on Zoom.
That's perfect, Mr. Election Manager. Thank you very much. Fellow members of the District Council, we will take up to 5 minutes to practice the test vote. So there'll be 5 minutes from now to receive your vote and to make your choice. Thank you. Fellow members of the District Council, Mr. Election Runner Manager Nick, would you close the vote and display the results, please? I see we have a result, and my eyesight being as bad as it is, Nick, would you mind reading out the result, please?
Yes, Madam District Director. So summer holiday wins with 78% of the votes, and winter holiday only got 22% of the votes. So it's an outstanding win for the preference of summer holidays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. It must be the long evenings that people like. That was a very successful test vote, but just to be sure, we'll conduct another test vote. Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you mind please launching the second test vote, please?
The break around here that we're going to, do you know?
So that should arrive in your email inboxes in about 90 seconds. Okay.
Thank you, Nick. Members of the District Council, can we resume, please? Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you close the vote and would you display the results, please? And read out the results, please, as well.
So the results are, which is your favourite season? Summer wins with 35% of the vote, autumn second with 29% of the vote, spring then with not far behind with 26% of the vote, and coming in last place is winter with 10%. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Election Runner Manager. We will now proceed with the elections of district leaders for the 23-24 Toastmasters year. For uncontested roles, and if there are no objections, we will dispense with the secret ballot, and I will direct our administration manager, Anne Gibson, to cast a single ballot for the candidate in this uncontested office. For contested roles, candidates will be given an opportunity to address the members of the council for 2 minutes. Candidates will speak in alphabetical order by last names. The timer will time the 2-minute speeches as follows. And may I ask the timer to display the green light at 1 minute, the yellow light at 1.5 minutes, and 2 minutes red light, please. And Madam Timer, would you mind displaying the lights, please? Would the candidates in the room please confirm that you can see the lights or the backgrounds, please? Thank you. When the 2 minutes have expired, the microphone will be muted. For the district director role, we have one uncontested candidate, Elizabeth Jordan. Without objection, I will dispense with the secret ballot, and I will direct the administration manager to cast a single vote. I now declare Elizabeth Jordan, District 71 Director for the 23-24 year. We have one uncontested candidate for the role of Programme Quality Director, Danny Banks. If there's no objection, I will dispense with the secret ballot and I'll direct the administration manager to cast a single vote. I now declare Danny Banks, District 71, Programme Quality Director for the 23-24 year. We will now move on to the role of Club Growth Director, and we have 3 candidates, Mairead Dillon, Somesh Kumar, and Paul O'Mahony. Each of the candidates will be given an opportunity to deliver a 2-minute speech. The first candidate is Mairead Dillon. Please welcome Mairead Dillon.
Fellow Toastmasters, make every contact count. That is my mission if I'm elected as Club Growth Director. Having worked in many leadership positions in Toastmasters and very closely with the DLT, I've had a great opportunity to speak with a large number of members on the ground and listen to their concerns. Yes, we want new clubs, but the most important thing we have to do is to shore up and strengthen our existing clubs. And we're going to do that by establishing a marketing and recruitment plan. There is particular opportunity, I feel, to grow the corporate sector. We only have 18 corporate clubs in the district at present. We can definitely boost that number. I work in the corporate world. I have formed clubs in the corporate world. And I know that by marketing pathways and Toastmasters leadership program, we can absolutely boost that number and make every contact count. I also want to bring in a system where we actually train every single committee member on how to market themselves so that they can make every contact count. We also are going to establish an excellent follow-up process with people who visit clubs for the first time and actually convert those guests into members. I've seen it work so well in Dublin clubs, and we can make every contact count. And finally, blue sky committees. I want to hear the wild, the wonderful, the wacky ideas that everybody has from all over the district. And I know that we can make every contact count. So if you want somebody who's dynamic, approachable, and enthusiastic, if you want to elect somebody who's going to make every contact count,
And Somesh, would you confirm that you can hear me, please?
Yes, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Somesh. Our next candidate is Somesh Kumar. Please welcome Somesh.
Fellow Toastmasters family, Namaste, Jia Huich, and good morning to everyone. The mission of Toastmasters District is to build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Quite a lot to do that. Seems like a very short statement. So how do we do it? You probably would have noticed I addressed fellow Toastmasters family. We have metrics available, distinguished club program, which is a huge metrics. But what is the actual use of metrics? It is to help us to go in a particular direction. But is metrics everything? Absolutely not. The most important aspect is that we consider each and every member as our own family member. How do we treat our family member? When they speak something, we listen very attentively. When they want something, we try our best to give it to them. And we go and proactively talk to them. This is what I would want as a club growth director, working with all our VP membership who are directly relating with each and every member and ensuring that that contact becomes established as a family. And when we have that family relationship, everything is possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our third candidate is Paul O'Mahony. Please welcome Paul.
Friends, members, Toastmasters, lend me your ears. I have come to seek your vote for the position of Club Growth Director. We don't know where we're going. There are so many things outside our control. We don't know where we're going to end up at the end of the next year. But we do know three things. We know we're going to grow. You know we're going to grow. You're going to grow as an individual. We are going to grow in quality. We are going to grow in size. We've turned the corner this year. The stats for the number of subscriptions have grown. Tiny bit, but we've stopped declining. We are going to grow. And the formula for growth is very simple. Growth equals B plus E. Belief and enthusiasm. When you have belief and enthusiasm, friends, members, Toastmasters, you can change the world. You can change your own world. Club presidents, you can change yourself and
we will now proceed to the election. Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you please launch the vote, please?
Got a message that neither Paul or myself are visible on screen to the online.
Were you audible online? Madam Zoom Master, would you confirm that the two candidates mentioned were audible online?
I confirm they were audible.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Zoom Master. We will now proceed to the election.
Thanks, Larry. Did you guys watch it going on? What was happening? I don't know. There was a vote. So I met. I was a candidate. There were 3 people. 5 minutes. The vote. Oh, what's the vote for?
Mr. Election Manager, I believe you may not have heard me. Would you please close the vote and display the results?
Okay, Madam District Director, we have a result.
Please, Nick.
See the colors.
Sorry.
Who's got the biggest part of the donuts?
That be allowed, Madam District Director.
Madam Zoom Master, could you minimize the room and display the result, please? Perfect. Thank you, Madam Zoom Master. As no candidate has reached a majority, the lowest, or the candidate receiving the lowest number of votes will now be removed, and we'll proceed to a second vote between candidates Mairead Dillon and Paul O'Mahony. Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you launch the vote when ready? Members of the District Council. Members of the District Council, may I have your attention, please? There will be a second vote for the role of Club Growth Director. Mr. Election Runner Manager, when the vote is prepared, would you launch the vote, please? And we'll then have 5 minutes for the election. Thank you.
Madam District Director, the vote has been launched, so it should reach people's inboxes in the next 90 seconds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Election Runner Manager.
Can anyone hear anything?
Just you.
Yes.
Members of the District Council, Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you close the election and please display the results?
Madam District Director, we have a result. Do you want me to display it?
Please, Nick.
Where's the crystal ball you needed?
Marie Dillon has 61%. Paul O'Mahony has 39%. With 61%, I'd now like to declare Marie Dillon Clubhouse Director for 23-24. We will now proceed to the election of the Public Relations Manager, and we have two candidates, Sue Burnett and Paul O'Mahony. Each candidate will deliver a 2-minute presentation. Green light will appear 1 minute, amber at 1.5, and red at 2 minutes. May I confirm that each of the candidates can see the lights or the backgrounds on the screens? First candidate is Sue Burnett. Please welcome Sue Burnett.
You are here today because someone invited you to attend a Toastmasters meeting, or maybe someone thought you could benefit from being in this organisation. And I can remember someone invited me to one of those meetings, and that's one of the most powerful things that helped me to realise that my world could change. And I'm almost 100% certain that each and every one of you in this room and on Zoom has benefited and transformed your lives, but not just your lives, the lives of those around you. You have built different relationships with your family, your friends, and your workplaces. And that's all because of Toastmasters. But there's one significant number that I want you to think of today. That's the number 3. The people that you affect because of what you do here in Toastmasters. And I made a promise. That's my second P. Toastmasters, I promised to serve my club when I was called upon to do so. And it took me 3 leadership roles to get to the Toastmasters VPPR role. I also served as an area director. And now I'm here today because someone helped me to be here today. Now, also within the Toastmasters promise, and I'm sure this might be familiar to you all, to bring guests and members to my club meetings. And I hope that you can remember these messages, because Stephen Covey said that if we can be proactive in leadership and we
Our second candidate for the role of Public Relations Manager is Paul O'Mahony. Please welcome Paul O'Mahony.
When I joined Toastmasters in 2015, I fell in love. I fell in love with the warmth and the friendship that I experienced at the very first meeting in Cork East Toastmasters. I fell in love with the Toastmasters promise, the promise that we've all taken. And that promise involves bringing new people into Toastmasters. And I've spent my life so far in Toastmasters doing that. Now, before I ever came to Toastmasters, I was a massive user of social media. That is indeed our free media. However, the public relations manager's job involves two things: internal communications, especially with vice presidents for public relations in clubs, but also reaching outside Toastmasters. We are indeed, as you know, we are the best kept secret. We often say that. It's time that we were no longer the best kept secret, and we'll only stop being the best kept secret step by step by step. I want you to vote for Paula Manny for Public Relations Manager because you want to stop Toastmasters being a secret, to reach out to communities and individuals all around our district who do not even know the word Toastmasters. We need something bigger than a tiny little step forward. We have an opportunity this coming year with all of the commitment that you have.
Mr. Election Manager, would you launch the vote for Public Relations Manager, please?
Madam District Director, that vote is now launched, so it should take about 90 seconds to reach inboxes.
Thank you, Mr. Election Manager. Members of the District Council, the election has been closed, and Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you please display the results? Holomani 61% and SuperNet 39%. I now declare Holomani Public Relations Manager for 23-24. We will now move on to the Division Director elections. For Division A, we have one uncontested candidate, a floor candidate, Eric Downey. If there is no objection, I will now dispense with the secret ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare Eric Downey Division A Director for the 23-24 Toastmasters year. For Division B, we have one uncontested candidate, James Finnegan. If there is no objection, I will now dispense with the secret ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare James Finnegan Division B Director for the 23-24 Toastmaster year. We have no candidates for divisions C, D, and E, so we'll move on to the Division F candidate, and we have one uncontested candidate, Charles Malone. If there is no objection, I will now dispense with the secret ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare Charles Malone the Division F Director for the 23-24 Toastmasters. For Division G Director, we have one uncontested candidate, Julie Kenny. If there is no objection, I will now dispense with the single ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare Julie Kenny Division G Director. For Division H Director, we have one uncontested candidate, Jennifer Alavique. If there is no objection, I will dispense with the secret ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare Jennifer Alavique the Division H Director for the 23-24 Toastmaster year. That concludes the elections. My apologies. For Division N, we have one uncontested candidate, Howard Balkand. If there is no objection, I will dispense with the single ballot and direct Administration Manager Anne Gibson to cast a single vote. I now declare Howard Balkand the Division N Director for 23-24 President. This now concludes the elections of the district officer elections. We will now proceed with the next item on the agenda, which is the district leadership team reports. Our first DLT member to present his report is our Public Relations Manager. And Madam Zoom Master, would you please display the slides at the Public Relations Manager report, please? Please welcome Public Relations Manager Arnold van Buren.
Thank you, Madam District Director. Thank you, district leaders. Yes, as your Public Relations Manager, I'm just going to give you my reports. We went a little bit different with our public relations, and what I mean with that is we went more online. Can I have my next slide, please? So what we did is we focused on content creation. We focused on more engagement on social media, and we achieved it. We had amazing presence on social media. We also monitored a lot of things that was able to help the district grow. We also encouraged a lot of clubs to create video content. And of course, I saw a lot of videos popping up. Club open nights, even for the online clubs, it was a challenge, but they have done it. And we are really proud of the clubs who have achieved growth within and using public relations. Can I go to the next slide, please? But of course, I couldn't do it on my own. So I want to thank my PR team, what they have done for me, for us, for everyone within our district. Only just to call the name will, take another minute, but I just want to give a big thank you to my team. Next slide, please. Can I have my next slide? So I would like to focus, and I want to recommend you all, and because it's still time, to go for your incentives. So if whatever you do, whatever you need, please go for that. And again, I want to thank you all for having me as your Public Relations Manager. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be our Club Growth Director, Danny Banks. Please welcome Danny Banks.
Could I have my slides, please? Excuse me. Are they there? Okay. Can't see. Never mind. I want to concentrate on just the two areas that my role is overlooks, and that's membership growth and club growth. Now, membership growth this year, as has been alluded to before, has been really very good. The number of payments is we are at the moment 8,199 payments, which is the best in the last few years. And obviously we're coming out of COVID, so that's helped. And I'm really pleased to see that. And we've also had a lot of new members, and that has been a really positive thing. At the moment, we've had 22 clubs who were awarded the Talk Up Toastmasters Award, which is for getting 5 new members in March. And We have approximately 1,600 new payments, so that's about 800 new members at least over the year. So we're really pleased with how membership has gone. We need 141 members, and this is just a hint to everybody. We need 141 members before the end of June to get to distinguished level for membership, which we've not been for many years. So I'm just requesting, get out there, get to your teams, get to your clubs, get them to get the members in. And there is an award going on, Beat the Clock. So we only need 141 new members. So that's just a request from me. Can I have the next slide, please? I'm disappointed with the way new clubs have gone this year. I had hoped for much better. At the moment, we're 186 at base, which is down from 207 at the beginning of the year. My estimate is that we will put on probably about another 9 clubs before the end of June, and that's 6 clubs that are currently suspended who will pay, and other clubs that have not yet paid will get back into good standing. And I expect that we've got 3 clubs that will charter before the end of June. So, as I say, I've been a little bit disappointed about that, but we've got some clubs that have not really recovered from COVID. Sadly, and they've died. So I was just waiting for the laughter there, just waiting. It's hard work, it's hard work. I've got a tough crowd. And so hopefully we have got in the funnel for the next club growth director quite a few clubs that are nearly chartering, and you've heard a few today. So hopefully that will go better next year. And I think, honestly, we are moving forward. I know it's easy to say, but I think we've got over the worst. And now we're looking to grow, not just in membership, but in clubs. And I'd like to thank all the clubs. There's a lot of people out there who have put an awful lot of work in. And I've met people this last year who, I think they live and breathe Toastmasters, and just thank you to them. And just the time I've got to thank the people who've helped me on my team. Marianne Brennan, who was coach, chair, Eileen O'Neill, who looked at the low membership clubs, and Helen Kelly, who helped her from Division S. We've got Asma Riaz, who was new clubs director, and Mari Manning, who was doing it for Ireland. Excuse me. Patricia Radley, who was on the committee, Liz Welsh, and I think I've mentioned everybody. If I haven't, come around, beat me up later. If you're here, just send me an email if you're not here, and I can ignore that like I've ignored half the emails I've had this year, unfortunately. Not my fault. It's the internet. So that's my report, Madam District Director. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Danny. Our next presenter will be our Programme Quality Director, Elizabeth Stewart. Please welcome Elizabeth.
Madam International Director, past district directors, fellow Toastmasters in the room and online. When I stood before you last year, I said I was really looking forward to being Programme Quality Director because it played to my strengths. I think it's pivotal for the district. I have to tell you, I was not disappointed. I love it. I love the role. It is challenging. It is hard. I have cried. I have done everything, but definitely a role I've loved. So I can't see the slide, it's a bit small. I just want to give you some highlights because we've only got 2 minutes. The first thing I want to say is that the programme quality team that I worked with this year has been absolutely amazing. It's a high performance team and they have delivered again and again. May I have the first slide, please? I know, I can see that there's a photograph I wanted to show. Yes. Okay, there's a technical issue, so forget that. All I will say is there's a team of about 8 people, 2 statisticians, John Kelly, Nikita Parks, and I want to commend them because they've done fantastic. They've really mined the data. So we've got a really good grip on pathways. We can see what clubs are doing, what individuals are doing, and we can work with them with our pathways community of practice. So I really want to, well, as they say, big up the team. The next thing I want to tell you is that Distinguished Club Program, some of you will have heard Ted Corcoran this morning. He was the person who came up with the Club Excellence Program, and Toastmasters International adopted that as the Distinguished Club Program. So I want us to sort of understand and live our legacy. This came out of our district. Really want us to use this. We have at the moment 72 distinguished clubs. We need 83 for the district to be basic distinguished, but we have huge ambition. We want 150 clubs distinguished. We've got 5 weeks to go, so we've got time. So the next few weeks, you will be getting phone calls from me, phone calls, emails. I'll be on your case. I think we can do it, and I think we all want to do it. Training is very, very important in our district. I was particularly proud that for DOT this year, we got 98% attendance. That's for DOT. It wasn't the same for COT. We've got work to do, but we'll get there. And I think what we should do going forward is to set ourselves these high standards of training. I think 98%, as I said, I was extremely proud of that. That's the one I'm going to quote to you. Education awards. When I looked last night, early morning, we've got 1,235 awards. Amounts that they're 4 DTMs, I think 12 pathways mentoring, and triple crowns and so on. And I think we want more of this. We need to celebrate what we're doing. It's great, and we're going to do more of that. I could go on and on, but I've got 2 minutes. I don't want to be cut off. But I want to say that, as I said, it's been a fantastic year. I really love being Programme Quality Director. And as your DD-elect, many of you will know I'm a Churchill Fellow. I'm a Winston Churchill Fellow. And I want to quote his words, that what I have to offer you is sort of blood, sweat and tears. I want to give you my all as your district director. I'll give you my all, and I'll be looking to you to give me your all, because I think together we can absolutely make District 71 the place that the eyes of the world would be on. And I know some of my friends from around the world are actually online. I look at their district and admire them, and I go to them. I want them looking at District 71 and admiring us too. So that's my 2 pence worth. Thank you. I now introduce Madam DD to give her report.
Thank you very much, Madam Programme Quality Director. Good morning, everyone. My theme for this year was growing our community together. We are a community where we support our members in their personal growth and development. I want to thank my DLT colleagues for their hard work, commitment and dedication to the service of all our members in District 71. I also want to thank our district officers, our division and area directors, and their extended team members for their support in achieving this mission. This was a very special year for District 71 as we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Toastmasters in UK and Ireland. And one of the highlights for me on a personal level was the launch of the book, Comprehensive History of Toastmasters in Great Britain and Ireland, that was written by Ted Corcoran. And our past international director, Teresa Jukes, was involved in publishing that book. And we had a very special event in Dublin in September. There are a group of Toastmasters and leaders who joined their respective trios at the start of the pandemic in 2021. We became CGDs shortly after the pandemic struck. Little did we know that it would be over 2 years before we met each other in person. But the connections that we built online were very special. and I'm sure they will continue long into the future after we have finished on our district leadership team journeys. Their friendship, fun, and good humour has been wonderful, and I want to thank them all for their constant support over the last 3 years. I would like to thank all our club members and club officers, particularly for their leadership of their clubs, because it is at clubs speeches are delivered, meetings are organised, and I am fully aware of the hard work that is done at club level by our club officers. So I would like to thank all club officers. I would also like to thank the members of my clubs, Fingal Toastmasters, Monaghan and Molly Malone Advanced Toastmasters. Each club has a special, unique selling point. Fingal is where I started in Toastmasters, and I'm very grateful to my friends in this club for their constant support and friendship to me over the last 13 years. At the end of this year, I'm starting as club president of Fingal Toastmasters, and I'm particularly honoured and delighted to be given this great opportunity to lead such a fantastic club. Thank you to everyone in the district for your support, for your work in developing your members and your clubs. And with that, I will bring my district director report to a conclusion. Thank you very much. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the item on motions. And the first motion that we received is that the District 71 Public Relations Manager become an appointed rather than elected position. This to take effect from the 1st of July 2024. I would now like to call on the proposer of this motion, Michael Collins, past District Director and VPE of Shannon Toastmasters, to move this motion. Please welcome Michael Collins.
Thank you very much. I feel that the important role of Public Relations Manager, it demands a qualification in what has now become an ever-changing discipline to develop a measurable strategy that sells the organisation under the direction of the District Director. And this is how the Finance Manager currently operates, with that position expects to have a background in some financial related discipline. So if this motion was passed to appoint rather than elect the Public Relations Manager, it would simply bring us into line with the vast majority of districts worldwide. And I think that is a positive. So I ask for your vote to pass this motion. So back to you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have a seconder for this motion? I'd like to recognise Division N Director Maria Orovich. The motion has been proposed and seconded. I now open the floor to a discussion, and we'll have a discussion for up to 5 minutes. So, Madam Timer, can you please time the discussion?
Would you repeat the vote, Madam District Director? Could we get it displayed on the screen, please?
Madam Zoom Master, would you please display my slides, please? Oh. Sorry, technical glitches again. I'll repeat the motion for the benefit of the council members that the District 71 Public Relations Manager becomes an appointed rather than elected position to take effect from 1st of July 2024. I'd like to recognise Paul O'Mahony, Division D Director and President of Blarney Toastmasters. Sorry, VPE of Blarney Toastmasters. Paul, please, if you'd like to pick up one of there's a mic. Maybe if you could just wait until the mic comes to you, please.
Madam District Director, I rise to oppose this motion on the grounds that it will result in removing a democratic vote. Our district leadership team needs to be closer to the members than it is for the future. If we give an appointment of the public relations manager, all of you who today have voted will lose your vote, and it will not necessarily improve the situation. We're an organization which gives leadership opportunities within the organization to our members. And I think the more opportunity there are for members to campaign for a position within the district, that experience, and I have had it, I've lost 3 elections, and I know how good it is to lose an election. But in all seriousness, I oppose this motion. I ask for your support to vote against this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. I'd like to recognise Howard Balkand, who's online.
Just to point of information, Madam District Director, if there's anybody opposing on or for, maybe we could split them up into a good few of both. So those for or against, if we can say for, could stand on this side, and those against could stand on this side in the room, and on screen if it's in the to chat or yourself. They're for that after their name, and again, just to keep it balanced.
Okay.
Debate. Thank you, Madam District Director.
Howard, would you like to say a few words either for or against?
My personal view of this, it should be opposed. And the reason why I say I think it should be opposed is I think we've got to look at it on a different light. When the elections come for the nominations, I think the elections committee have to look for someone that has the experience of public relations. My grandson of 7 years old, for instance, refers to me as Grandpasaurus, because when it comes to social media, I am at the bottom of the class. And I think that the district election committee should be able to interview someone that they can put forward, that they know with confidence that will support the public relations that are very much needed in the district, rather than possibly appointing someone that really doesn't have the experience. Thank you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Howard. And Howard, you are VPE of Salford Speakers, is that, or sorry, my apologies, you're President of Salford Speakers, is that correct?
Can't unmute.
Thank you, Howard. Is there anybody online or in the room that would like to speak in favour of the motion? I'd like to recognise John Cox, past District Director.
Madam President, is it switched on? Yeah. I support this motion because I do think that ER is becoming a far more important and professional role. I think that we need somebody that understands social media inside out, knows how to get as much coverage as possible on social media. And certainly I've witnessed that in my own clubs. We've had somebody really good this year with posters and promoting it. And we've had a lot of coverage on social media as a result. So I would certainly support that we really do try and get professional people to take on that role.
Thank you, John. If there, I'd like to recognise Elizabeth Jordan, Public Programme Quality Director.
Thank you, Madam DD. I would like to speak for this motion. I think if we think of the people on the DLT, finance is just as important as PR, I would say, but we appoint a finance manager. I concur with what John just said. I think we can appoint, we can look around the district and find a PR. I think also there's something about being in alignment with the rest of the world. I think we're one of the few people. And I believe the origins of this was more like a political thing rather than, actually, so we always had like two from the UK, two from Ireland, I think, which is now sort of passed. So I think we should look at this, and I would definitely want to support this motion.
I'd now like to call on David Clinton, who's president of Toastmasters for Golf.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I would just like to clarify the suggested motion. Is it suggested that we therefore dispense with the appointment of the DLT post of Public Relations Director and replace with an appointed PR company? Is that what's being suggested?
No.
Or that we run the two things in tandem?
No, the motion as stated was that the District71 Public Relations Manager becomes an appointed rather than an elected position. Okay. So just as the administration manager roles and the finance managers are appointed
clear.
then.
So effectively it's a big change up here. This is a change in the dynamic of how we do our business of public relations. And what I would perhaps suggest is a rethink in relation to the motion to allow for a transition period to actually allow for the two things to run in tandem for a period of 12 months to 2 years. Now, I'm just putting it out there because it is a transition.
May I just clarify for the speaker that the motion goes on to say to take effect from the 1st of July 2024.
No, I appreciate that, but there will be a break off at that point. Who will be the official who will work in conjunction with the PR, or will it be the DLT team? Who will be the single person from the DLT dealing with the appointed PR if the appointed PR entity replaces what we have already? Will there be any point of contact, or will it be the DLT who will be the team dealing directly with the PR company?
The public relations manager role would be a member of the district leadership team.
That's still retained. Oh, okay. Okay. Again, I was unsure where this was going. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Madam Zoom Master, would you confirm if there's anybody online that would like to speak either for or against the motion?
Finbar Harty, I think, wants to speak.
Madam Zoom Master, my apologies, I didn't hear what you said there.
Finbar Harty would like to speak, I think.
I'd like to recognise Finbar Harty, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Sorry, Madam District Director. I would speak to oppose the motion on the basis that to give Paul Manning said to give democracy to people that, you know, want to develop in the organisation, and give them the opportunity to run from you know, to put themselves forward, and to bring that experience to the team. So I would oppose the motion. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jennifer. We will have one more speaker on the debate, on the discussion, and that will be Maria Orvich, Division N Director.
Thank you, Madam District Director. And for the motion, as I stated previously, and the reasons also, it's been said, for me, today we appointed someone on a vote and we listened to that speech. We didn't know their qualifications. They didn't give us all their background. And I know that each of the candidates had PR or marketing background. And so you're voting based on a speech that may be an inspirational speech, but doesn't tell you the qualifications. I'd like to know, when you appoint as district, and like you would for finance, do people have the opportunity to put themselves forward and you go through their qualifications? Also, the person that first raised this said something to align with the rest of the world. I'd like to understand what that means. Are PR managers, are we aligning with how it's done elsewhere, or is this a separate thing? Because I think that's important as well. But for myself, I would want the most qualified, the person that understands what's going on in social media and that can support our VPPRs, because there's a lot of new ways of doing things digitally. And if they're not supporting them, that's where we might be failing. And that's the reason I actually seconded that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Division N Director Maria. We'll now move to vote on the motion. And the motion should be available to display on the screen, Madam Zoom Master. The time for discussing the motion is over and we're moving to vote. I'm sorry, the time for the discussion is now come to an end and we're moving to a vote. On a point of clarification, other districts within Toastmasters International, for example, District71, appoint their public relations manager. I'm not aware of the number of districts that appoint versus elect their public relations manager, but our nearest district does appoint rather than elect. If it's district appointed, it's appointed by the district director, and the district director could put out an email, could issue an email calling for expressions of interest in the role. Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you please launch the vote and the wording of the motion? The wording of the motion will be that the District 71 Public Relations Manager becomes an appointed rather than an elected position to take effect from the 1st of July 2024.
Madam District Director, that vote has launched and should be in everyone's inbox in about 90 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Election Manager.
We have speaker screen on, therefore Zoom is the one that needs to be changed.
Members of the District Council, we will now resume with the results. Mr. Election Runner Manager, would you please display the results?
Four against 4 wins.
Mr. Parliamentarian, would you mind calling out the results, please? Result.
The motion is adopted, 61% for, and 39% against. So the motion is adopted. Read out the motion as adopted there from Madam District Director, please.
Thank you, Mr. Parliamentarian. That the motion was that the District 71 Public Relations Manager becomes an appointed rather than elected position to take effect from the 1st of July 2024. That was adopted at the District 71 Council meeting on the 27th of May 23. Thank you very much, everyone. We also received motions from Paul O'Mahony, VPE, Blarney Toastmasters. I'm going to take the two motions together as they're both referring to training. That district-led club officer training start as early as possible in the month of June is the first motion. And the second motion is that the Programme Quality Director appoint a training review committee to review the current standard of training, consider what improvements to training are possible, and report back to the District Executive Committee by the first DEC meeting in 2024. I'd now like to call on the proposer of the motion, Mr. Paul O'Mahony.
Madam District Director, in light of the commitment that our District Director-elect has given this morning to improving the quality of training throughout the district, I would like to withdraw my motion because I fully think that it's very important to improve the quality of training and to provide it as easily and as accessibly to all of our members. And also I note the commitment of Elizabeth Jordan this morning to increasing the number of club officers who receive training. The proportion isn't half good enough, in my opinion. We need to get 7 out of 7 in about at least 50% of our clubs, but I fully support our District Director. And with that in mind, I withdraw both my motions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. With that, we will now move on to the next item on our agenda. But before we do, I would like to extend the finishing time of the District Council meeting to 1:15, please, without objection. The next item on our agenda is a presentation from our International Director, Jean Gamester, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jean Gamester, DTM squared. And I'll allow Jean to explain what I mean by that. Please welcome Jean. Very much.
Thank you, Madam District Director. I'm a DTM squared because I got my second DTM this year. And I have made a promise to somebody to make it a DTM cubed, not so far a time away. So that's my promise that's out there. This morning, fellow Toastmasters and members of District 71, we heard from past international president Ted Corcoran. He said that persistence is the essence of leadership. He's a wise man, Mr. Corcoran. And I have to say that in this time when we have been through this enormous pandemic and the disruption of these past few years, persistence has been what we have needed. We have sailed in turbulent waters. And what delights me as I look at the people in this room and I think of the people who are online in this district is that people in this district persisted and kept sailing through those turbulent waters with the wind in their faces, and they just kept going. And we can see the fruits of that persistence as your membership starts to grow again, more distinguished clubs coming through, and I see the beginnings of increased confidence in club building. I'm excited that this district has new clubs, Time Toastmasters, Stamford Speakers, Manat Toastmasters, the Office of Government Procurement, and Molly Malone Toastmasters as well. It's brilliant to see all of these new clubs. And as we go forward, I'm looking forward to us being able to sail with the wind at our backs now as we recover from the pandemic. All over the world in Toastmasters, I am seeing people coming together in teams to go, how can we make this better? On the board, it's been my privilege to be part of a committee looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and accessibility, to make it better for all of us, to make sure that this is a place where we all feel really included. World Headquarters team working really hard to make Pathways better, to bring us onto a new platform, to improve usability and the content that's on there. In this district, it's been a joy to be with you, to watch your district leaders work really hard to make this an amazing event. Yesterday, I sat there watching our district director doing her homework, looking at Robert's rules, all the governing documents. What does that mean? What is that? Because in order to be super ready for this meeting, and I think she's done a fabulous job in terms of being ready to chair us. I also saw a conference team hard at work leading to bring everything together. And I must commend our district director-elect for stepping up and taking the lead for this conference this weekend. All over this district, there are stories forming of people working to make things better, to grow, and to allow more and more people to be part of what we experience. I've heard some brilliant stories of division directors stepping in when there weren't enough area directors and stepping in to do their roles. Hopefully that won't be necessary next year because so many people will step up. And I also heard stories of club committees coming together going, membership is low. Do we really want to keep going? They said yes, and now they're at charter strength. You know, all sorts of brilliant stories that are forming that we are all part of. Phil Heath has on his personal lanyard, and at the back of his lanyard, he has the Toastmasters promise. Now, there's a line in that promise that I asked him to read out when I asked him to, and here you go.
Madam International Regional Director, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heath. And for those of you who are online, what he said from my corresponding version given to me by my friend, the immediate past district director from District 91, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. Now, of course, this promise is for every member, but you could take out a few words, you know, to say, to serve my fellow Toastmasters as an officer when called upon to do so. This promise lands at all levels in our organization. So if you're sitting there thinking, how can I help? If you're sitting there thinking, Wouldn't it be brilliant to be part of a team that sails this district into amazing things in this year and the year to come? Then now is the time to put up your hand and say, I want to help too. I want to be part of this team that is going to turn things around and let more and more people be part of this organization even. Many hands make light work. I invite you all to put your hands in and make this district and Toastmasters the amazing super place that it can be. Madam District Director.
Thank you, Madam International Director, for those inspiring words. The next item on our agenda, I believe, is an information notice about the joint 7191 Reformation Committee. And I'd like to call on Danny Banks, Club Growth Director, to inform the District Council meeting of what this proposal was.
Madam District Director, Council, this is really information. Earlier this year, Toastmasters International spoke to both Division 91 and Division 71 leaders, and the discussion about reformation was had, and both districts were asked to put in a letter of inquiry to the Toastmasters International for a consideration about reforming the area. And basically, both districts sent that in. The process now is that has gone to Toastmasters International. We await their response. If they agree to it, then a committee will be set up to look at the possible reformation of District 71 and District 91 to create possibly 3 divisions within Ireland and the United Kingdom. It's only gone in, nothing has been decided, no committee has been set up. It will be a long process. It won't be by next September or even a few Septembers from now. So it's not something that can be debated at the moment, and a committee will be set up so that we can look at all the pros and cons of doing that. So that is just a point of information for you. If anybody asks you, that's where it's at the moment. And other than a letter of inquiry gone in from the 2 districts, that is where it is at the moment. So we'll keep you fully informed when anything happens, when we get anything back from TI. Madam District Director, sorry, if there are any questions. I used to be a secondary school teacher, and this is the response I got from that class. Not that it's a bad thing at times. There being no questions, and I can't see any online. So thank you very much for your cooperation. Madam District Director.
Thank you very much, Danny. I will now call upon our Programme Quality Director, Elizabeth Jordan, to provide an update about future district conferences. Please welcome Elizabeth Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Didi. One of the pleasures of my year, and I say pleasures in inverted commas, has been organising this conference. I started as a member and ended up as the conference chair. Another story for another time. And many wonderful lessons have been learnt. Some amazing people in our district. I have to tell you, what gives me, I think, courage and hope and so on is that we have got the most amazing people. And the lesson I've learned, and it's for Danny, who'll be PQD next year, is if you're going to run a good conference, you have to start early. And I'm really happy that we've got a distinguished Toastmaster from Ireland, who is going to come and tell us about an opportunity for next year, which I hope we're going to gather behind you and make this amazing. So Peter Kieran, would you like to come to the stage and tell us about 2024, Conference 2024?
Thank you very much, Madam Programme Quality Director. I'm happy to announce that the 2024 District 71 Conference will be held in Portlaoise from May the 10th to the 12th in the Midlands Park Hotel. I will give you more information tomorrow, but I'm happy to announce that it will be in Portlaoise in the Midlands Park Hotel from the 10th to the 12th of May 2024. I just want to say that I am currently building a team at the moment, and I did visit the local club last Monday, and they're only too happy to be there to welcome you all to our conference. So don't forget that date, the 10th to the 12th of May 2024. And if anyone here in the room or anyone online would like to get involved in helping to organize it, they would be greatly welcomed onto the team. As I said, I do have a finance manager, I have a project manager, I have a social media manager, a conference director, of course, which is very important, and also a bookings manager. So we do have other vacancies. So if you are interested in coming on and organising the best possible for the district, you would be greatly welcomed. Thank you.
I'll just add that Peter is a member of this year's conference team, so we built in continuity and we built in expertise. I do believe we can do a great job next year. Can I invite Madam Didi back to the stage, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Programme Quality Director. We are now moving towards the close of our District Council meeting, and the next item on the agenda is announcements. And I would like to confirm with Programme Quality Director Elizabeth that we're resuming after lunch at what time?
At 1 o'clock. I'm so sorry. Not at 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock. Back in here.
Okay, thank you.
So you have to have a very quick lunch.
Contest.
The tabletop contest at 2 o'clock. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Public Programme Quality Director. With that, I'll bring the District Council meeting for 2023 to a close. Thank you all for your contributions, and I now declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.